In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, nestled among ancient pines and whispering oaks, stood an old, dilapidated cabin. Its time-worn walls bore the scars of countless storms, and its windows were like hollow eyes, staring out into the wilderness. Locals whispered that the cabin was cursed, a place where the veil between the living and the dead grew thin. Charles, a reclusive writer seeking inspiration, stumbled upon this forsaken abode during a bitter winter. His eyes widened as he stepped over the threshold, feeling the weight of forgotten memories. The air inside was frigid, and the floor creaked under his boots. But it was the dog that caught his attention, a spectral creature with eyes like twin moons, glowing with an otherworldly light. The townsfolk spoke of the blue ghost dog, a legend that had haunted these hills for centuries. Charles scoffed at their tales, dismissing them as mere folklore. Yet, as he settled into the cabin, he couldn't ignore the dog's presence. It followed him, its footsteps soundless, its gaze unyielding. Each night, precisely at 3 a.m., the dog would rise from its invisible slumber. Charles would hear the soft padding of paws on the wooden floor, and the air would grow colder. The dog would inspect every room, its ethereal form passing through walls and closed doors. Charles watched, both fascinated and unnerved. "Why do you haunt this place?" Charles whispered one moonless night. The dog tilted its head, its eyes never leaving his. It seemed to understand him, as if it held secrets beyond the veil of existence. Charles delved into the cabin's history. He discovered that the blue ghost dog was once a loyal companion to Charles Thomas Sims, an explorer who had sought fortune in these very mountains. Sims had bragged about his gold, drawing the attention of thieves. One fateful night, they attacked him, leaving him bleeding on the rocky path. His faithful hound fought alongside him, teeth bared, until its last breath. The legend said that the dog's spirit lingered, bound by loyalty and vengeance. It roamed the cabin, guarding the remnants of Sims's treasure. Charles wondered if the gold still lay hidden beneath the floorboards, waiting for a worthy soul to claim it. As the days turned into weeks, Charles's obsession grew. He wrote feverishly, capturing the dog's haunting presence in ink. His nights were filled with whispers, the dog's name, lost to time, echoing through the cabin. He felt the weight of its gaze, the sorrow of its eternal vigil. One stormy evening, Charles ventured into the forest, guided by the dog. The wind howled, and rain soaked his coat. The dog led him to a moss-covered boulder, its surface worn smooth. Charles dug with trembling hands, unearthing a rusted lockbox. Inside, he found tarnished coins, glinting dully in the moonlight. The dog watched, its eyes filled with something akin to gratitude. Charles understood. He would honor the blue ghost dog's sacrifice. He would tell its story, immortalize it in words. And perhaps, just perhaps, the dog would find peace. But as Charles returned to the cabin, he heard whispers, ancient voices carried by the wind. They spoke of choices, of sacrifices. The dog's loyalty had bound it, but now it sought release. Charles hesitated, torn between greed and compassion. And so, on a moonless night, he placed the coins back in the lockbox. He whispered his gratitude to the dog, promising to share its tale with the world. As dawn approached, the cabin trembled, and the dog's form wavered. It vanished, leaving behind a sense of closure. Charles finished his manuscript, a chilling account of the blue ghost dog. The townsfolk read it, shivering by their firesides. And somewhere, in the shadowed woods, the dog's spirit rested, its eyes no longer haunted. But those who dared to visit the cabin still heard the faint echoes of barking at 3 a.m., a reminder that some bonds transcend death, a writer's promise to a loyal hound. And so, Charles's legacy intertwined with the blue ghost dog, forever etched into the fabric of Appalachia's dark folklore.